Hey, this is Joe from SoFly, and in this video, we are going to export WooCommerce orders to email using WP All Export. So to get started, we'll go down here to All Export and select New Export, and then we'll select WooCommerce Orders from the dropdown. So over here, you can see we have 5,760 orders that are going to be exported, and we have some filtering options. So for example, let's say we wanted to export everything, with a billing state equal to California. Now we get 623 orders, and we can filter by anything related to the order information, the customer who made the order, the products that are in the order items, any data associated with any of these things. We can create any number of filters, and we can add more. We can use and or operators. So, for example, I could say that the billing state equals California or New York, everything over a certain order value, etc. So tons of very useful filters that you can add here. Check out our documentation. We have some documentation that goes a little bit more in depth into filters. We also have some videos on this on our YouTube channel. So if filters are interesting to you, if you need to use them and you're not sure how and you want to learn more, check out our YouTube channel and check out our documentation. For now, I'm just going to leave this one filter here, and then we'll continue to customize the export file. Okay, so the way WPL export works, here on the left, we have our export file, and this is what we get by default. And over here, we have available data in our site that we can drag and drop. So for example, I can add the order date, I can add the order total, I can drag and drop to rearrange these things, I can click inside, change the column name, I can go over here to add field, and instead of dragging and dropping over here, I can search. So I can search for the billing first name, like that. And then over here, we have all our customer information. I can also drag and drop the name, right? So there's two ways. You can click add field, or you can drag and drop individually. So let's check that out. All right, there we go. So let's clean this up a little bit. Let me remove these by dragging them out. And we have our billing first name and our billing last name, and they're correctly exported, but let's see if we can combine these into one field. So to do that, I'll go down to add field, and I'll create a custom export field. And I'll call it name. Then I'll go over here to customer. I'll drag in the billing first name. I'll drag in the billing last name, click in between, and give them a space. Now I'll save this, and I'll preview. And there we go. You can see here that we've now combined the first name and the last name into a single field. So custom export fields are super powerful. You can do a lot of interesting stuff with them. I'll copy this and I'll delete it just so we can see. So this label here, it says you can drag and drop fields from available data. You can add static text and you can use PHP functions, right? So the way PHP functions work is they're over here. So let's say I wanted to pass this information through a PHP function. For example, let me make a new one here. Let me add field, billing state. Now for PHP functions, there's two ways that we can do this. If I want to pass the billing state, for example, here into this change state function that I've created, right? We pass the state in and then we return str replace. We search for California in the state field. CA, we search for that in the state field and replace it with California, the more verbose version of the state name, right? So the way we do that is we just go over here, export the value returned by a PHP function, and we click over here, we type in change state. So this is going to be saying that this state information is going to be passed through this function, right? So let's save that, take a look. There you go, right? Now, if we turn this off, you can see this is the old version, right? Now there's another way that we can do this. You can use a custom export field. So, oops, let's get rid of that. Let's just call it state. Okay, so we have our billing state over here, and then we're going to wrap this in brackets. Everything in these brackets is going to be treated like PHP. So now we can just go like this, change state, open the parentheses, close the parentheses, right? So we have brackets wrapping all of this. And then the parentheses, this is the value being passed into my change state function. And then inside the curly braces, this is the syntax for WPL export to know which field it is. Now in here, let's say, for example, I wanted to make pass the whole address into a Google Maps function, right? So let's say I have a function down here, I write a PHP function, sends the data to Google Maps, and then Google Maps returns the link, the Google Maps link for that address. So we can build that pretty easily, right? So we just go over here. Let me just start over here. So I'm going to take billing address 1, that's the street, comma space, city, state, and then zip code, which is also called postcode, right? Now let's check out what this looks like without the PHP function, right? Look at that. So that is the actual address, right? There's all those fields combined into one. Now let's say I wanted to pass this blob of data into a custom PHP function. So first we'll wrap it in brackets, same as before, right? My new function, parentheses, and then, oops, I put that in the wrong spot. We'll put that over here and then close parentheses, just like that. So again, that's my PHP. This over here, this is the value being passed into that function. And then these are all of the little tags that are used by WPL export to see the different fields, right? So those are the two ways that you can pass data into PHP functions. Very powerful, a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Check out our website. In our documentation, we have a code snippets page. It has lots and lots of code snippets to get you started. Very, very useful. So let me cancel that. We'll get rid of my state here. And this is looking pretty good, right? So let's check out the rest of the data that we have. So over here on the right, we have our order data. Then down here, we have all of our customer data, everything associated with the customer, the person who made the order. All of our order item information is over here. And then down here, we have tax and shipping information, fees and discounts, notes and refunds, custom fields, etc. So this is all of the data associated with everything to do with our order. And we can just drag and drop to create our export. Now down here, we have our export type options. So we can pick which kind of spreadsheet we want to export to, CSV, Excel, etc. Or we can select an XML feed. So we have simple XML and custom XML. If you're interested in exporting to XML, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos on that and how that works. But for this video, we're just going to stick to our CSV file for our email. Okay, so now we've created an admittedly very simple export file, but we've gone over a lot of the functionality. We have some advanced options here related to our CSV. They're all pretty self-explanatory. This is looking good for me. I want to send my email. So let's continue. And then we have some scheduling options and our advanced options over here. So I'm going to schedule this so that it runs every Monday, runs every week on the first Monday at midnight. And then I'm going to turn on only export orders once. So now the first time I run this, I'm going to get 623 orders because that's all of the orders I had from somebody in California. The next time this export gets run, it's only going to include the new orders that were created since, okay? So if I'm sending an email every week, that means every week I get an email that has all of my orders from the last week, which is exactly what I want. The other option we have over here that would work with email is export each WooCommerce order in real time as they're completed. If we enable this, everything else goes away. Every time somebody creates an order on the site, this export's going to run, but it's only going to export the new order that was just created, only that one order. And then after we hook it up with Zapier, we're going to get an email. So we get an email for every single order that comes in. Pretty useful. However, we're not using that feature here. We're just going to use the standard option where every time this export runs, we just get an email and it just has a link that has all of the orders that were exported. Okay, so we're going to leave our options like this. If you're interested in the rest of these options, check out our YouTube channel, check out our documentation. We have some videos that go into those in some more detail. We also have manual scheduling over here. Again, check out our documentation if that's interesting to you. Okay, so I'm going to confirm and run this export. And this will take a few minutes to run. We'll let it go and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so the export is complete. Now let's go over here to Zapier. So this is where we're going to set up our Zap that's going to run every time this export is complete. It's going to send an email. So we'll go over here to create Zap. Now we have a trigger and then action. The trigger is going to be WP all export. There it is. We'll select that. And we'll choose our event. And again, we have our two options over here. I'm going to select a new export file. If you want to learn more about real-time exports, again, we have separate videos for that. Now we'll continue. Now the account here is already linked. The way to link the account, if this wasn't already set up, we go over here, we go to our settings page. And then here we take our API key. So we copy and paste this, go back over here, and then we put it in here along with the URL for the site. And then Zapier is now able to securely communicate with my site that has WPL export running. I've already set that up. It's pretty self-explanatory. They make it very easy, so you shouldn't have any problem setting it up. Okay, so now we'll continue. And now we'll test the trigger. So that's going to contact the site and it's going to pull down the most recent export that we've created, the one we just ran. And that's this one right here. You can see here, records exported 623. Okay, so we'll continue with our selected record. And now we're setting up our action. And our action is going to be email. So my event, send outbound email. We'll continue. I'm going to send my email to. Now this email address is not monitored, so don't email it or email it. Doesn't matter to me, but no one's going to check it. Now the subject is going to be new order export. Actually, let's give it something a little better. Weekly sales report. There we go. That's more official sounding. Okay, now this is the body of the email. Now you can see that we have pretty limited information that we can add to our export. If this was a real-time export, we have all of the order data, right? We have all of the data that we set up on our export is available right here because we only have that one order to deal with. In this case, we have 600 orders, right? So all of that data is just going to be inside of the export file. Okay, so what am I going to do for the body? So here's your sales report. This week, we had, I'm going to add one of these here, records exported, 623 orders. Here's the report. And then now the export file URL. And this is just going to be the file that's hosted on our site. Okay. The attachment, it's a little bit redundant, but just so you can see how it works. So we can put the file URL here in the body, or we can actually just attach the file. Export file exists, but not shown. We'll select that. Done. From name, WP all export pro. There we go. And the rest of these pretty self-explanatory. So we'll just leave that. We'll continue. Test the step. And that's going to send the email over here. And there it is. There is our sales report. And we can download this. Open that up. And this is the export that we just created. Right? Pretty cool. Okay. So let's go back over here. Now there's one thing we have to do. So right now this is set up so every time a new export file is created on this site, it's going to send an email, which is fine, right? Because right now I just have this one export over here. Well, if I had another export, guess what's going to happen? It's going to also send me the email, right? Maybe it's a completely different export. So I want this Zap I've created to only run for export ID 49. So we'll go over here and we're going to click add a step here in the middle. What we're going to do is we're going to add a filter. So only proceed when a condition is met. Okay. Our field, export ID. Oops, let's open that up again and I'll search for it. Export ID. There we go. Choose a condition. Exactly matches 49. Continue. There we go. Okay, so my Zap is complete. Let's just give it a name. Weekly sales report. And we'll publish. And this is on. Okay, so now here, over here, let's run our export. Let's go to this export confirmation page. And you can see here we have only export orders once. And we have our schedule set up to run the export every Monday. So let's go ahead and let's confirm and run the export. And you can see here, it says we have nothing to export. And that's because all of these orders have already been exported, right? But presumably over the next week, I'm going to get some orders. And then when the schedule runs and this export is run, all of those new orders are going to be included. So let's cheat a little bit. Let's add some orders over here. Okay, I'm going to add 2 orders. So we'll do one for Jane. Do we have somebody named Jane? There we go. That's close enough. Her name is Janelle Skamal. Okay, and Janelle, you're going to get a shirt. Everybody gets a shirt. You get a shirt. Okay, there we go. We'll set that as completed. Create. There we go. Easy stuff. All right, let's add one more order here. Do we have John? Paging Dr. John. There we go. Carol St. John. Dr. Carol. Hello, Carol. Well, you got 2 L's over there. Okay. Carol St. John. Carol St. John, what are you going to get for Christmas? That's right. You guessed it, kids. You're getting the shirt. Oops, just one shirt, not shirts. There we go. All right. Santa has come earlier this year. There's your shirt. Okay, create that order. Alrighty, so now we're going to go back here and I'm going to run my export. And we'll confirm and run the export. Okay, so now let's go over here to our email. And there it is. So this week we had 2 orders. Let's download it and check it out. Alrighty, and there we go. There's the 2 orders that we just created. And that works. So every time this export runs, and it's going to run every Monday at midnight, we're going to get an email that has all of the orders that were created in the last week. So again, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot more content on how to export orders, export WooCommerce products, export WordPress users, WooCommerce customers. Anything in WordPress can be exported with WPL export. And we also have a product, WPL import, that allows you to import anything into WordPress and WooCommerce and everything else. Now, Zapier also warrants further investigation. Zapier has a ton of integrations. So we just did email here, but you can also, send this data to Dropbox, any external API. They have like 5,000, I think, integrations that you can use. It's mind-boggling the stuff you can do with Zapier and WPL export. Any data inside of WordPress can be sent automatically to over 5,000 different services by using Zapier. Very, very cool. Highly recommend that you check it out. So again, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you soon.